going on, y'all? It's your boy Gibbons here.
And then we'll see.
Welcome to yet another episode of the Achromous podcast, episode 79. If you are listening to this podcast, it means that you're probably listening to it on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, which is absolutely fantastic. You keep listening. But if you're watching our beautiful, handsome faces right now, you see our glowing beards, you see our melanin popping, it means one thing and one thing only. You are watching this on YouTube. And before you do anything else, here's what I need you to do. I need you to hit that like button. I need you to hit that subscribe button. And please, will you please hit that notification bell? Here's what's going to happen, right? The next time you open that YouTube app and you're scrolling, you're using that thumb, you're burning it, right? You're hitting that screen. One of those videos, most likely the very first one when you refresh that page, will be episode 79 or one of the other 78 episodes that we have. And of course, you will be supporting the best and fastest growing podcast in the space today. Most of all, though, ladies and gentlemen,
it is free to do each and every single one of those things.
Unbelievable.
Yes, sir. I'll say it again. It is free to do each and every one of those things Jay mentioned. Like, subscribe, make sure that you're tuning in to everything that we have to offer and that we're giving you each and every week, these gems. Make sure you turn on that notification bell. And then I'm going to add on one more thing with that, Jay, that's free. Man, you can share it. You can share the content. If you dig it, you can share it. Pass that along. Embrace your inner Tom Brady. Take a step back and just get it out there. Spread that thing. There you go. Just that simple. Spread it out. We've been doing this consistently, guys. 79 weeks now, and we are going to continue.
Hold on.
Yes, sir.
Say that one more time for them.
We've been hitting this hard for 79 weeks consistently. Ooh, I mean, do you hear that word used very often nowadays? And the proof is in the pudding.
Not a chance.
Yeah, I don't. Not very often. Of quality. Let's be clear. With quality too. Gems that are being dropped. That's authentic and is coming as real as you're gonna see, guys. So please make sure to do those things. Like, subscribe. Make sure you share. We want to make sure you're getting every single thing that we can offer to you, and we know that you're enjoying it. And then make sure you just spreading the love, man. We need to be able to know that each one is happening, and that you guys are out there reaching everyone, because we want to make sure that this news and information gets spread worldwide. These gems
worldwide, we'll see. Worldwide. Sometimes I just sit back and I think about it. I really wish there were two people like us that I can listen to growing up. I really do. Because of the experience, because of what we've been able to go through, because of what we're building here, there aren't many voices out there like that, right? There aren't. And if you've been listening to our podcast over and over again, you must be amazed by now that we've been able to come up with 79 different content-rich episodes for you. Just think about that. That's insane, right? That is absolutely insane to be able to come up with that type of content every single week, deliver these gems every single week, understand that every single week we're going to be hopping into something new, but exciting, because we get to share it with you. And that is what's most important. We'll see.
Yeah. It's a learning experience for us. From the feedback we've received from people who've reached out to us. You walk away with at least knowing within an episode that there's at least one thing you can take that's been mentioned and apply it and actually benefit from it. And that's the difference, where you have something that directly affects you, and that you can choose to make a difference and change for yourself. I think that is a wonderful gift, and embracing the power of choice and utilizing it efficiently. To be the best version that you desire to be, the version that you see yourself inward, that maybe you've been hesitant to try to find or to let out to the world because you're worried what everyone else just thinks or how they're going to feel about you. But we're here to remind you that you matter. What you feel about you is what matters most. And, lead by example, to be fearless, to talk about things that maybe some folks shy away from, or some folks may find not as entertaining, because we don't have a group of people behind us exploiting their visual goods to the world, or we're not speaking on trendy topics and speaking it in a way that we're trying to invoke in a sort of emotion with aggression, or just not displaying who we are and our mannerisms and just how we are as people. And especially as two Black men, to be able to touch about things such as our emotions and ways that you're told that you're not supposed to be able to, right, to the world. And not even just for men, but for women as well. And we bring guests on as well for women empowerment, so that we don't have the answers to it, so we don't pretend that we do. So we love having guests, and we love having to invoke conversations with our community, because we want to learn, and we're here to grow too, to be better individuals for ourselves, for our direct loved ones, for our future generations to come, to spread that knowledge on down. This is a way for us to be able to do it amongst like-minded folks who are just seeking to be better for themselves.
Absolutely. We'll see. And you made a great point, especially when it comes to our guests. And I know plenty of people who are looking at this episode now, if you heard the last episode last week, episode 78, about the Great Reset, you would have probably heard that we were to have a guest on this week, Kevin Saunders. But because of some scheduling conflicts on the Achromous side and on Kevo's side, he will be joining us next week. And the best part about that is he will be able to tell us exactly what he's going through when it comes to filming right now, because that is what he's doing. Now, of course, we're not going to get into the details, right? We're not going to tell you exactly what's going on. You got to tune in to episode 80 to find out. So make sure that next week you tune in to episode 80 on the Achromous podcast. That is when we will have actor Kevin. But do not swipe off this video. Do not hit that exit button, because this evening we will be able to get into a lot more about what Achromous truly means. And we're going to do it from a perspective from the founders of Achromous, right? You're going to be able to hear exactly how we really came to the stage we are at now, and what we are able to see in the world around us, what we're actually doing outside of Achromous that makes Achromous much more worthwhile than you could even imagine. So, and we know that you will be able to connect with that too, especially those out there who are still searching for their purpose, those out there who are still struggling to be able to create their goals, or make sure that they are making sensible goals, or goals that are attainable. This is the episode for you. So a bit of a switch up today, but we want you to be able to stay tuned, listen to this episode. Of course, take those gems and make an action plan out of what you're hearing, man, because what we're going to get into tonight is going to be, it's very interesting. It's very different. We don't really get a chance to connect with you guys. Typically it's, during some of our specials, and we may do a little bit of a recap based on where we are, but this is just another side of the Achromous podcast. It's another side of Achromous Fitness. It's another side of the Achromous Group, which is the sort of the founding company that we've been able to build to sustain both the podcast side and the fitness side of what we do.
Yeah, I mean, I say without further ado, Jay, we just go ahead and get right into it. Funny side note to this, guys. Prior to us getting this kicked off, we were already knee deep in conversation and just vibing and just having some discussion about some things before we realized we didn't even really get going. So we're gonna kind of, I guess, pick up where we were and just like Jay mentioned, we just kind of cutting it back, kicking the shoot, really more so from this perspective, us just having a general conversation of sorts where we're just kind of reflecting on where we've been, where we are, as mentioned, in the state of the world, the time we're in, with all of these transitions that's led to Achromous to where we are today.
Yeah.
So that's really what we're gonna do.
Perfect, man. Let's hop right into it. And I would say, this past week, of course, as I mentioned, we did have some scheduling conflicts. I was actually traveling for my my 9-to-5 job, if you will. And I was out in Las Vegas, and I know a lot of people right now here. No, man, I want to go to Las Vegas. I want to get out there. I want to party. Look, this is a business trip, number one. Number two, the average temperature out there was about 115 degrees. So I can almost 100% guarantee you did not want that, because I didn't want that and I was out there living in it. So just let's clear that up first of all. But second of all, I think the really interesting part about my 9 to 5 and what I do outside of the Achromous podcast, of course, I'm in the building industry. But what I do in that industry is so unique. I get to meet different people of all different walks of life, with all different stories that they can tell from their past and how they got to where they are today. And we'll see. I know what we were talking about is just the difference from what it feels like being an employee in a company versus being an employer, right? And of course, we're in a unique situation where we can kind of still tell both of those stories because we have our feet in each one of them right now. So it's an interesting concept to be a part of because you can see both sides of the coin. On one side, right, on the employee side, there's a clock in, there's a clock out. You do, say you do what you have to do, right? You know what your job description is. You fulfill that job description. At the end of the day, you go home, you come back to it the next day. But in that between that span of time, you could just be doing the duties that you were hired to do. Now, outside of that, on the employer side, which is who I end up having to be around a lot for this job because I'm in the industry, I have the luxury to be around a lot of entrepreneurs who are in that space. So it's being able to connect with those people who are running these companies, who have built these companies from scratch, and just see how they are living their life versus how I'm living my life, seeing how they feel about what they do day to day versus how I feel about what I do day to day. And it's not to say that I hate what I do. I can't say that, right? I honestly will see. I am thankful to be in the position I am for my 9 to 5. I really am, because there was a time where I did not feel that way. There was a time where I did not feel that welcoming feeling that you get from a company. I didn't feel as though it was somewhere that I could say, okay, there's some longevity here. Maybe I can go somewhere with this. I can build on something. In my mind, it just wasn't me. And that's not me bashing the company I used to work for. It just wasn't a fit. Sometimes that isn't the case, right? So when I transitioned to the place I am now, there are aspects that I do not take for granted. Of course, it's being able to connect with people that have so much in-depth knowledge about a specific subject that it's incredible, right? They will know more than I'll ever learn about any of those things, whether it's talking to people who are in the trade on site, electricians, plumbers, carpenters, being able to talk with them and learn more about what they do and about what makes them tick, learning more about CEOs of companies or presidents of companies or owners of companies, and seeing how they go about their day to day. And the one thing I would say candidly that I saw as a major difference between how I feel some days or most days when I'm doing what I do versus how they feel, it is a change in the level of interest and fulfillment that they have to do what they do every single day. Now, again, let me preface it by saying I am not knocking the 9 to 5. There are plenty of people out here who find purpose and interest, I mean, deep interest in what they do.
Mm.
Every single morning they wake up, they cannot wait to get into the office, to sit at their cubicle, to type away, to do the duties that they're supposed to do every single day. And they love it. They want more of it and nothing else, right? But then there are others out there, regardless where you are, regardless what industry you're in, there's something missing. And it really hits differently when you know that there is something there, right?
Mm.
And there was a stage where I said, okay, I could either understand that there's something different about the situation, something that I'm not connecting with, something I'm just not feeling, and
Yeah.
I can just go with it, which many people in the past have, especially due to certain circumstances that may have held them back or prevented them from making certain moves or certain jumps at a particular time in their life. And I respect that. But on the other side, I had to tell myself that, look, on average, we have about 60 if that's 70 years here, right?
Yeah.
Some people are blessed enough to live into their triple digits, into the hundreds. Others aren't, most aren't. So, in between that lifespan, now that I am beyond the age of 10, 15, 20, 25, even 30, what is going to be my legacy? What is going to be the rest of my life? What am I going to be remembered for? Not necessarily my character, what I've done, but what the acts that I have been able to, that mark that I was able to leave on this planet for those that I've been those I have affected myself personally. And I knew that regardless where it was, whether it's here or somewhere else, regardless of the amount that I'm getting, it would not equate to fulfillment unless I was doing something that was in line with my purpose.
True.
And I'm saying this because I know for a fact that there are a lot of people who are listening to this right now and they can connect with that one statement. They know that what they're doing is something that they don't want to do, but I think the beauty of it is if they understand that this is just a temporary situation, it will allow you to be able to understand perspective
Hmm.
because you're telling yourself, okay, this is my duty now. Let me collect what I need to. Let me build upon my knowledge. Let me build upon my network. Let me grow as a person, as somebody who understands it from the employee side, but at the same time understanding my employer and understanding what it takes. So once I make that transition, I know exactly who I'm looking for, right?
Yeah.
I'm looking for someone who is that passionate. I'm looking for someone who loves what they do, who they'll wake up in the morning at 4 a.m. and they can't wait to come in, not just to do work, but to do something fulfilling, to be a part of something bigger than themselves, right? To
Yeah.
understand that they are in line with their purpose, whether I'm an employer and they stay with me for 1 year or 100 years, right? To me, it doesn't matter. I think every single person on this earth should be living within their purpose or at least on an obsessive pursuit for it.
Yeah. I think you put that wonderfully in a way where it demands you to kind of stop and like reflect on it and just give it a chance to, you know, dissect that and digest it as well. And if you need to, this is a good time to pause that, rewind, go listen back to some of those gems that Jay just dropped because he dropped a ton of them. Um, but I think if I had to add on to that, I would say a big factor to be mindful of when you are going through those motions and going through those parts of your journey is to be mindful that you have a choice. The power of choice is just so underrated, to my personal opinion.
Yeah.
We seldom put ourselves in a mindset to say how everything is out of our control, albeit from the job that we're working, and if we're unhappy with that, rather than identifying why we are unhappy about it and then making decisive decisions to, you know, rectify that eventually. Now, it doesn't mean it has to be an overnight process. Just like it, same goes for something you're trying to pursue, to, you know, be enjoyable, what you want to do in life or what you desire to do, your aspirations. A lot of the times we kind of get caught in between that field, but having the benefit and the pleasure of choosing to do both as providing my services to a company, because I like to look at myself, as you all should as well, we are our own business. We are our own entity because we are providing a service to what we are working for, unless it's our own direct business that we're trying to generate source of income. Now, that's how I, through my career experiences, have molded my mindset to approach it that way. Because as an entrepreneur, it helps me to fall in line with identifying these key traits of what I see as being successful for the company that I work in, which in my case, I'm in the software industry now. Prior to that, I was in business banking for a long time as well. So I had the benefit of working a good lengthy amount of time in two different, total different career aspects. But I realize how intertwined it is, because at the end of the day, I'm trying to provide a service to people. And ideally that's what we're doing now, right, with our enterprises of what we are pursuing, our aspirations of helping people, if you will. We're providing a service, but we're choosing to. So I think it's key to identify, as you're giving a service to a company, or vice versa, albeit whether it's going in the favor you want or it's not, to be mindful of the moment, right? Because as Jay mentioned, we only have about a good 70 years or so on this earth of ours. And we want to make good use of that time, because part of being here and being present is like what you learn, your experiences, so that and how you utilize it as you move forward in life. So I know for me, uh, it's helped to be able to see what success looks like for a business, because I've worked for different businesses, and some shortcomings, because it's also helped me to recognize the areas of the importance of accountability, for myself as an individual. Helped me understand the importance of a camaraderie and how to build and structure a team, and managing the team and what that looks like, and the requirements of what it takes to dedicate yourself to be successful, and the mindset you have to choose to put yourself in. Because again, remember, it goes back to the choice. Perspective is reality to me. So I'm not saying be oblivious to things, but set realistic expectations for yourself that are achievable, but sets, as we like to say, stepping stones in place. Start taking the steps you need to get there, albeit in these cases educating yourself. And the form education doesn't always necessarily mean, as most people generally think, oh, you're going to go to put yourself back to college if you've been, or further your education in that way. Educate yourself in different ways, where there are books and there are things out here, there are audios you can listen to help you educate yourself. Heck, you can go on YouTube and educate yourself for damn near everything if you want.
Everything.
If you invest the time into that, because reality is you're investing the time into you. So you're really only as unhappy as you allow yourself to be, is what I'm starting to understand.
Yeah.
And it's been a pivotal part of my journey, and how I'm applying myself to our ventures, how I'm applying myself to my career field, how I'm applying myself to, from a personal perspective for people that are in my inner circles, and most importantly, what am I giving to myself? What am I investing into myself? Because I think I realize that's what I've been identifying lately, how important it is to invest that time into you. Time is a currency that we lose. We all lose, like money and change falling out your pocket. So you want to make sure that you are mindful of how much is falling out, and how you're spending what you can in between, how you can get a good grasp and control over it, so that you can enjoy this journey, because we're here to enjoy it. Like, it's fascinating to me the amount of people that I hear on a regular basis, and I've heard myself before say, and we all go through ways where we are so down on ourselves, man. We're so hard on ourselves in a way that we are our own worst critic, and boy, do we kick ourselves down. Like, rather than finding methods to empower yourself, even through the most adverse moments. And especially as an entrepreneur, it's even harder in that way. And the state of the world that we're in today, it's almost a normality that's how it's supposed to be, and it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be, because again, it's a choice. So I'd say you choose to stay enlightened in investing into you, into what's important to you, and identifying what you choose to want to do. Because ideally, you're never going to do the same thing forever. It has to change, but you stay locked into what it is that your purpose was to begin with, and you redefine it as you move along with life. You redefine your purpose. This is what we do. We're redefining our purpose every day. And this is why it's so important that your state of mind, your state of health, your state of being is where it needs to be. Because if it's not, then you can't be anything for anyone, because you're not what you need to be for you. So the worst thing you could do is to deny yourself the privilege that we were given in the power of choice. So to me, I think, Jay, if folks could kind of lock into that, or kind of reflect on that. That's what I really wanted to focus add on to this, because I find it to be so empowering when you really realize the choices we have. And I mean that in all ways,
Oh,
because
yeah.
that affects your mindset and your actions,
Yeah.
and how you choose to move forward, what you perceive the world to be, or things or people, and how you act on it. So I think you provided a great explanation of those things, because you define your choices
Mm.
and what you chose along the way on your journey, like I was shared part of mine. And that's life. That's just life, man. So give it a little bit more focus on the decisions you're making, and be honest with yourself to be accountable. Where are these decisions that you're making in your life from a business venture perspective? Does it make sense with identifying to what your purposes are for you? Or is this just something you're doing because because maybe financially it's suitable, and
Mm.
like a lot of people go to school because of that reason, and they are miserable in the career fields that they're in, and you kind of realize the money isn't everything in that kind of way. You want to find a balance, if you will. We were speaking about this earlier, right, Jay? Just kind of maintaining that equilibrium. You gotta get it together so that you can be okay with where you are, right? Because what's one person's perspective of wealth is different from another person's perspective, and that's what I've learned as well. So to me, in my life right now, I have enough of the riches of what I need to help me continue to move forward, and I just want to build on that wealth. Whether that wealth for me comes in the form of receiving unconditional love versus circumstantial love, support, um, obviously finances, so that I can be able to provide for my loved ones, and those I care about most, and for myself. But you really just got to think about it in those ways. I think those are the factors and key components to kind of figuring out this thing we call life, Jay.
Mm. Look, we'll see. I think for me, the biggest asset that I have, and I'm sure many people out there as well, is time. Time is the hugest. With time, you could accomplish so many things. And when you sit back and you try to remember those times that you may have wasted, whether it is at a place doing things that you had no business doing, you didn't want to do, it wasn't within your purpose, but you did it because of money, or because your family told you that you needed to because you couldn't come back home if you didn't, right? For all of that time that you could have been spending living your truth and finding out what it is that you could be doing on this world. I would say, out of anything else that I could have in this life, beyond money, beyond fame, beyond popularity, it's time. It's time, because without time, none of those things matter. If you aren't here, what does that matter, right?
Doesn't matter.
You
Yeah.
need to be here. You need to be present. You need to understand that at some point in time, you will no longer exist. You will no longer be here. So whatever you're leaving behind, people remember you for, will be you, right? It'll be your lasting memory. It'll be those moments, those intimate moments that you shared with your loved ones. It'll be the moments that you uplifted somebody in your life that you've known for many years, or a perfect stranger, right? All of those little things that you will be remembered for, you can change a life. And I would say, especially when it comes to the state of the world, we'll see, we are in a dark, dark place. I've only
Yeah.
been here for 31 years, but there's an aspect of the world today where I fear that we may never get to the point of of synergy again. And it's not as though the United States were ever united on a 100% goal that we were trying to achieve. We are such a very diverse country. We have so many different cultures, so many different religions, so many different races who exist on this one continent. So it's in this one country. So it's so wrong for us to expect that everything will run smoothly between us. But I think if we are all here and we understand exactly what our purpose is, we will have a much better go at this life. And I think a lot of people right now have just, they've probably been struggling to find out what their purpose is, honestly. I think a lot of people are following waves, especially when it comes to social media, right? They're following whatever trend is this. I'm gonna do this trend now. I'm gonna see if I can get some followers. I'm gonna see if I can get some views, get some engagement. I'm gonna follow this person. I am going to I'm going to make myself known in the worst way by saying something publicly that I know is going to get me banned from just existing outright. However, it's going to get them attention, and that's exactly what I want. I want that attention, right? So there's so many different people that are living for so many different purposes that are not their true purpose. They're doing it to latch on to certain things that they may believe are purposeful because of the attention that others are getting from what they're doing. So then it becomes a cycle, it becomes a loop, and we all end up worse because of it, right?
Yeah.
I think back to times before we even had social media, before we even had phones. And God, I'm sounding like I'm old now. I'm only 31, man. There is where we are now has accelerated so quickly in the last decade or two.
Yeah.
Like we are so far ahead of where we used to be. Like
Mhm.
I remember the days, and folks who know me personally know this, right? We're outside, we're kicking it from like sun up to sundown, especially in the summer. The
Yeah.
only time we would probably go in is for supper, right? And if it was a supper in the house, we're probably stopping at the ice cream truck to get grandma cookies or a big burst or a hot sausage or something, right? And then we're going and we're playing, right? We're discovering. Remember that, man.
Yeah.
Remember that we are discovering what we're trying to do. We're learning. We're literally falling down and getting back up and doing it all over again. Sometimes not even the next day, but in the same day. You fall off your bike from going off of a jump that you didn't even believe you were making. Look, you didn't make it. You didn't make it, but you learned. What did you learn? You learned how to get further. You learned, okay, if I lift the handlebar a little bit higher from the jump, as soon as I get off, maybe I can make it. You try again,
Yeah.
you don't make it. You fall down, you bruise, you get nicked up a little bit, but you get back on your bike, you go around to the top of the hill, you come down, you try to jump again. You are continuously learning. You keep doing these things. So I think at some point in this in the society that we're in, when we get to a certain age, we forget those things. We
Yeah.
forget what we've done from the past to make us so great at what we are now. Hell, I mean, for me, look, I always talk about sports. I'm always talking about football. We're fitness guys, right? We'll see.
Yeah.
So that is the realm that we're in. There was a time I could not bench press the barbell off my chest, and the barbell is typically 35 or 45 pounds, depending on what gyms you go to. I was doing this. We'll see. I was shaking. I look at the fitness center. I was a god, man. I was laying out. Look, I would put the little the pin that they have
Yeah.
for these cable resistance machines on the chest press specifically. I put that thing to 225 and just rep that bad boy out, hitting 15, 20 reps without a sweat. But the moment I got to the gym, I tell you, man, I hit those free weights. I could not get the barbell off my chest, just the barbell without any weights on it. And we'll see, it was a humbling experience. It
Yeah.
was a humbling experience. But what I told myself, I'm going to conquer this. I'm going to get better at this. This is my next goal right here. What do I need to do to get to this point? Okay, I need to work on my triceps, right? I need to build strength in my triceps because there's a pushing motion that I have to do in order to push this barbell off my chest.
Yeah.
My shoulders. I got to get my shoulders a little bit stronger because they're going to have to hold that weight in place as I'm going up and I'm going down. I got to make sure that is strong. Oh, in my chest, because at a point I'm going to start adding weight, I got to make sure that my chest is ready to get this weight on. You see, each and all of those things I mentioned, whether it is me at the gym, whether it's football, whether it's you on a bike, each and every one of those stages, at a point, I had to learn where I needed to go next in order to fulfill the purpose I wanted to fulfill, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to face my fear, hop on this bike, and leap over this gap that we had on a ramp that we built from scratch. I knew what my purpose was. I wanted to conquer that fear. And if I was able to do that, then I know I could do anything. At the time, I didn't think that. I just ain't want to be the one who ain't do it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
my mind at the time, I didn't allow fear to even become a part of me
Mhm.
because at that time it wasn't that I wasn't that I was afraid to do it. It was I am going to conquer this. right? My mindset was different at that time.
Yeah.
Because I was a kid, I was growing. I was, you know what I'm saying? I'm going down a hill in a wagon that has no brakes. What is wrong with me? Taking that type of risk is something that people would say, man, you're insane. Why would you do that? You get hit by a car, but as a kid, you're not thinking about that.
No,
You don't.
You're willing to take more chances.
Absolutely.
It's very true. That's very, very true.
Man. So it's like I think in this world we have gotten afraid of taking action, of taking chances, of really figuring out what our purpose is here. Because for the life of me, I try to sit down sometimes, and it becomes overwhelming to really think about everything that had to happen for us to be in this stage we are in right now. For us to be where we are.
Listen, I'm really big into spirituality. I'm a firm believer in divine intervention. And reality is that everything that must be shall be. And it's going to happen the way that it's supposed to. And we may not understand it in the moment, but if you take the time to reflect back on a lot of things in your story, in your life that's happened to you, it all has a component of connecting. Listen, even in our history, brother, you know how we go way back, but you know there's a lot of things that's lined up in our lives in different ways that's synchronized to make realities because of the decisions that were made. And ultimately, it's as if it was supposed to be the way it was to be right now.
That's insane.
Even just reflecting, you know, at this point, guys, you know, so want to give a congratulations to Jay, you know, to him and the missus of, you know, on their first year, you know, just congratulations to their anniversary. And big thanks to you guys, as I mentioned before. And it's just interesting of like conversing on that, because you really, when you look back and connect the dots over things, you ask yourself, why did these things happen, or why things happen the way it happened? It all happens with a purpose. And a lot of the times as well, what we've asked for, we usually get, just not always in the way we thought we receive it. And I'm not saying being content to settle for anything, but embracing, being mindful of what it is that you're seeking, which is why the power of choice is so important, because it holds you accountable, so that as you're making decisions, it isn't always about making a right or wrong decision. It's about making the choice and seeing it through, so that you can learn what is intended for you to learn in the moment. Because again, life is a journey, and you got to find the joy in the journey. Even when you feel like you kind of crapped out and hit the wrong roll, but you learn. So I think like that's so important to reflect on that. And in this day and age, if like you said, and I was going to ask you, so you had already mentioned it, so I didn't even have to ask to say anything about the fear, because it does seem as if people are operating on a sense of autopilot within the last 20 years or so, which is just a weird time, because it's like people are too afraid to experience adversity, that it's just so much easier to go with the grain of what's happening. And we see it all the time with the trends, and just too afraid to just venture out because of insecurity of like or being disappointed in whatever, or just assuming the worst, rather than making a choice to try to you know, be your own person, if you will, or really follow into what can make you better for you, rather than, you know, the trends. So that's a very excellent point I thought you brought up, that I felt was really worth mentioning, and just delving to add those few components into it that to give a little bit more reassurance, where it's like, just look back over your life, your journey, because we all have a story, and it should be a beautiful one enough. I'll be it good or bad, I wouldn't change my story for what it is, because everything I thought was, you know, was bad for me was supposed to happen the way it happened, because I've got a lot of beautiful moments, and I have a lot of beautiful parts of my life right now that I wouldn't sacrifice because of those moments that didn't go the way I thought they went, because of the decisions I made, ultimately others as well, but like the choices I made to be accountable. And understanding that now allows me to choose to be thoughtful and conscious in my choices, and stand on it. and be willing to embrace it. So now when I'm dealing with adversity, I welcome it and I'm like, ooh, this sucks, but there's a lesson to be learned. How did I get here? How do I assure myself that I can avoid this again? Or if it's something that has been successful, what was my ingredients to the success? What steps did I choose that led to this? And how can I recreate this formula of success for the next thing I'm trying to choose or venture I want to go into or do in life?
Right.
And I think it's really just adding those things into your thought process, and again being intentional and practical on your way is creating stepping stones, and just embracing the power of choice and knowing that there is no failure other than not trying to make a decision in whatever it is that you need to do for you. The greatest thing that you could do now is to live a regret and just let that eat at you for the rest of your days. And as Jay mentioned, our legacy is who is defined as who we are. Because how does the saying go? As far as your legacy, you are only remembered here as long as the last person alive is to remember who you were. Mm-hmm. So that's a telling story as to what you've done in your time. Yep. And how much did it matter to you. And for us, we want to leave a legacy for generations to come. And this is why we're doing what we're doing. Yep. Because if we reach a soul, we've already succeeded in our legacy being what it is, because it'll be passed on. These gems that we say we drop, we're not just saying it because it's catchy, but it's true. Like we dropping gems of life from our experiences. And mind you, these isn't just ours. These are what was given to us and has been formulated through the adversity of experience and has been molded and hardened to become truths. So we drop gems of truth out to you, and we do it fearlessly in a way that whether there's a million people that are tuning in to understand this, or there's one person that's committed to being better for themselves, learning it, we are serving the purpose, and we understand this is a part of who we are, what we're doing. And on top of it, we are committed to us. We're committed to our truth, and we're committed to not having a hobby, but pursuing a passion, pursuing something that is going to make a difference in the world because we're choosing to do it. Power of choice. So it's really important to embrace your journey, reflect on it, because ultimately it helps to plan out where you choose to go next in your life. Because as I was taught a long time ago, people are in life for where they choose to be. And that always stuck with me when I learned that. And I passed that along because it's so true. But we seldom forget the part of the choice. We forget that part and how we got where we are. And then recognizing that where we go from there is up to us. I always like to think back to Castaway with Tom Hanks in it at the end of the movie. Yeah. And he was in the middle of the road. Well, and that was so powerful for me. The first time I saw it, and I was young, and it was so powerful. And that scene always stuck in my head. And it really embraced the power of what that choice looked like then. But as I started to grow to become a young man, to really understand it at this point in my life, I get it. So it's like the road is there. We may not know what the outcome may be. We can speculate and assume, but we won't know until we apply an action, and just be conscious about it and be ready to learn either way.
100%. The power of choice. That I think. I mean, we were thinking about what could be the title of this episode, because we really know. We were just like, yo, today let's riff, man. Let's take off the gloves. I mean, these shows aren't ever scripted, but this one was just like, I'm gonna just hit the record button. We're gonna go. You're gonna hear us. We're just gonna say anything that we could put together, which for the most part is what we do every week. But this week was especially that. So the power of choice, I think that sums up everything that we talked about. Whether you now know where you want to be, and maybe it isn't where you are now, know that you have a choice to make that change. Know that you have a choice to understand what that change looks like. Know that you have a choice to learn the steps that you need to take to transition from point A to point B, right? Know that you have the power of choosing what your next purpose is going to be. if there is something else that you need to fulfill in life and you know it is there, do not make the choice to not leap. Do not choose to not chase. Do not make the choice to sit there and allow yourself to understand that.
Yeah.
Make sure that you know that the next time that you're going to make the decision, it is going to be because of your purpose. Every single decision that you make from this point on should be in alignment with your purpose. Every single decision. I learned that the hardest way this past week. As I mentioned, I traveled, right? And traveling to Las Vegas, I mean, that's Sin City, baby. Anything that happens there stays there. But I got to tell you, I got to bring something back for you guys, because I'm gonna pat myself on my back until my arm breaks off, because I made the decision that I was not going to deviate from anything that I was doing prior to taking off from Reagan National Airport out here in Washington, D.C. I knew that I was going to be me there. And when I came back, I was going to continue to be me. I was going to continue to be the same me that I was even before I left here, because I understand my trajectory. I understand my own flight. I understand how long that runway is going to be until I lift off. When I'm in the air, I am not planning on landing. I know where I'm going.
There you go.
I know my destination. I know where it is. And because I know, I can rely on the instruments in my cockpit to be able to take me where I am supposed to go. I don't have to fear. I don't have to grab that like, oh, I got to turn this way. I got to make a U-turn. I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to get through the storm in front of me. But that is never the case. I can fly through it because I have faith, because I understand what my purpose is. I understand what my destination is. Yeah. And when you understand that, everything else that comes with it, that journey that Will C was talking about, it becomes the part of fulfillment that you were missing this entire time, because you weren't paying attention to that journey, because you weren't paying attention to the mission, the steps that you were passing along, because you were just so worried about getting to the destination. That is the fun of it.
Yep.
It's that chase. Yeah. It's understanding that you have grown from where you used to be to where you are now. That is that part. That is the fulfilling part. To be able to look back and know that, oh my God, this is what I used to be. This is what I used to look like. This is how I used to feel. This is what I used to eat. This is how I used to live my life. I am not that anymore. And I can say that with confidence, knowing that I will never be that again. So it is important, ladies and gentlemen, to know that on this journey that you are taking, it is a long journey, but your purpose is lifelong. It will never end. This journey will never end for you. And at the end of all of this, you will understand your purpose. You will understand your journey. And you will know that it was because you made that choice. We'll see. Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
And to sum it up, it all comes back to the fact of recognizing in those moments in your life how much you mattered.
Absolutely.
Really mattered.
Wow.
All ties together. Makes sense, right?
It does. It makes sense to me. And look, we hope it makes sense to you. We hope it made sense to you. And if it did, here's what we want you to do. We want you to tell us about your journey. Tell us about where you are now. Tell us about the choices you had to make and where you are now because of those choices. The best answer we get will be featured on the next episode of the Achromous podcast. Man, this episode I enjoyed, we'll see. This one we just got off, right? It was whatever came to our minds, and for whatever reason, our minds were focused around the power of choice, because we all have that power. It is up to us to make the decision that we are ready to choose for our own lives.
Absolutely. I don't think we could have put it any better. There are endless gems to reflect on. And again, just taking a moment to reflect on your journey of where you've been, where you are right now, embracing the power of choice, understanding how much you matter to ultimately decide where you want to go from here, and set up that action plan to get yourself there. Because time is a luxury that you can't afford to waste. So
100%. We'll see.
Make the best use of it.
Absolutely. And if you watch this podcast, it means that you were investing your time today. Wherever you are, whether it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, it does not matter. You have taken the time to listen to this episode, and we want to thank you, especially those who are here for the very first time. You did not stumble across this podcast episode on accident. You made the choice to click that play button wherever you are, whether you're on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, it doesn't matter. It does not matter. Wherever you are hearing this, and we want to bless you with these gems that we are giving you. For those who have been here before, at this point, 79 episodes in, you should already know what we are about. But I'm sure there are some out there who still may be asking and wondering what that is exactly. So I'm going to do it once again. We'll see. I'm going to spell it out for you, ladies and gentlemen. ACHROMOUS. Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, the achromous.com website, every single place that you can find us. Look at that bottle. Amazing. It'll keep you cool. It'll keep your cups cool. It'll keep your drinks cool, your coffee. If you want to put soup in that, you're more than welcome to. It'll keep anything cool that needs to be cool and anything warm that needs to be warm. You can get that on the achromous.com website. This is where you put your goals. This is where you make that choice where you say, I am no more who I was yesterday because you matter. You must understand that every single day that you do. Achromous Fitness is here to tell you that. Look, we are not the be-all, end-all solution of health and wellness. We are not the be-all, end-all solution of fitness. We are the foundation builder for you. Those who want to start over, those who want to understand what their purpose is, those who want to build appropriate and attainable goals for themselves, those who want to understand how habits work and how you can make habits work out for you. This is where you need to be. So you are not here by accident, and we want you to return. And if you are here and you did not do this yet, and you are watching us, that can only mean one thing. You are on YouTube. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. The next time you hop on YouTube, you make that choice to scroll down, you make that choice to hit play because you need to hit these gems. Episode 79 of this episode will be sitting there ready and waiting for you. And most of all, we'll see.
I'm going to do a little different. You chose this because you believe in you. You chose to do each one of those things because you believe in you. As much as we believe in you. We know it's free. We know it's free at this point. Everyone's aware it's free to do those things. It's free to like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell below, and all those things, and even to share this content that we provide to you, and choosing to do that because you care enough for yourself that you're going to also care about those, and you want to help enlighten them on the gems that was dropped to you today, so that maybe they need to hear this message of the power of choice. So I trust in your decision making. Don't let me down. Most importantly, don't let you down because you deserve better.
100%. You deserve better. You're worth it. You matter. Understand that you have a choice. You have a decision to make. Just make the right one every single time. Next week, we will make the right choice, and we will have actor Kevin Saunders on once again to talk about exactly what he's up to. We know that he's up to filming. Well, we'll see what else is going on in Kevin's life. So we can't wait for him to join once again for the third time on the Achromous podcast, episode 80. We'll see. We are 20 away from the century. Can you imagine that? I mean, we had a choice. Do you know how many choices got us to this point? Every single week, we had to choose a day. We had to choose a time. We had to choose a location to be able to give you these gems every single week. And we are about to hit our 80th episode straight.
Listen, it's consistency, and I think it's pure determination and a great representation, the power of choice, like what we just went over. it's a culmination of a lot of what we've discussed over these last 79 episodes heading to the 80th. But more importantly, is leading through action and not just saying things just for the sake of it. Is standing by what you mean in the form of action and expression. And this is what we're giving to you. So if this is something you could resonate with or you desire to, this is the place to be. This is a place to be to develop yourself on the roller coaster of life.
Couldn't said it better myself, man. You guys take these gems. Have a great week. Thank you for enjoying and listening and being a part of the Achromous community by being a part of this Achromous podcast. You made the choice to listen to this. Make the choice each and every day for this week, for the rest of your life, to live in your truth and follow your purpose. Until next Sunday, it's your boy, J.H. Gibbons.
And we'll see.